Hi, my name is Ava, and today I'm going to talk about how social media makes us feel like we're behind. Everyone knows that not everything is real on social media, but that doesn't stop our brains from thinking that way. It's very easy to get caught up in the cycle of looking at other people's lives and wishing that you had that same life. But you really have to think about the fact that not everyone shows every part of their life on social media, and you are not them. Your life is different and you have a different path and you're going to grow at a different rate. So you shouldn't feel bad because you're at a different stage in your life than the other people on social media are. And I have seen some people say that most people on social media show their real lives and that some people who have lavish lives actually live that way. But the thing is, if you're struggling with jealousy and struggling with comparing your life to others, then you shouldn't worry about whether things on social media are real. Just tell yourself that they aren't, and it'll probably make you feel better. If you come across someone where you wish that your life was like that and you wish that you could be like that, just tell yourself it's all fake. They're trying to do all this for views, they're trying to do all this for money, and that you're actually working towards getting those things in your life. The strive towards a luxury lifestyle also makes people postpone marriage and family life just because they're busy working on becoming rich. According to data from the United States Census Bureau, in 1960, the median age at first marriage was 22 for women and 24 for men. In 2019, the median age at first marriage was 27 for women and 29 for men. I'm not saying that holding out on marriage and family life in order to become financially independent is bad, but most people don't think about the fact that when you do start your family, you're probably going to start it at an older age, and you're going to be older than you would want to be once your kids start to grow up. That large age gap you have with your kids can make it harder for you to relate to them and can hinder you from meeting the physical requirements that are needed to take care of a kid. And some people are fine with that, but those are the implications that you do need to think about. Social media makes many young people think that they need to be sexually liberated. And this is because there are so many people on social media showing themselves in a sexual way or just showing themselves however they want to in order to combat the social standards. But this can be harmful when it comes to younger people just because they don't realize that this has nothing to do with them. And it's okay if you're doing this when you are an adult, but when you're still in high school, if you're younger, you need to realize that you do not need to be a part of this. Showing yourself on social media in a sexual light is not liberating you from anything. If anything, it's putting you in harm's way. But most teens don't understand this, and since all their friends are doing it, it can often make them feel like they're behind just because other people are doing this, so they should be doing that too. And since a lot of other people are doing this, even when they see adults doing this, they assume that they should do it too. Just because there are so many people on social media that talk about being sexually liberated, and when you're constantly consuming this kind of information in this media, it can confuse you into thinking that this applies to you too. And I do understand that as teenagers, people want to be seen as older and they want to be seen as grown, but at the same time, I think you also need to realize that social media is probably not the place to do that, just because most people have public accounts and anyone can see you. And you have to think about the fact that there are scary people out there and you don't always want to be posting yourself in a compromising way. I especially see this on TikTok where people will post videos and whether they mean to sexualize themselves or not, there will be a giant amount of saves compared to the amount of likes, which is just a little weird when you think about it, just because there's random people seeing you on the internet and they're saving your videos for who knows what they want to do with it. So you just really need to be safe and think about what you're putting on the internet. I feel like a lot of people have forgotten that stuff on the internet does not go away. Just know that even if everyone is posting themselves on social media in this way, it doesn't mean that you're behind if you're not doing it also. Now, my next topic is hookup culture, and this one is similar to sexual liberation in the way that it's shown on media a lot. Especially when you watch high school or college dramas, most of the time, it's showing these kind of activities. And this can make people feel behind because they see these shows that are supposed to be with high schoolers, so they think, these people are doing it, so why am I not doing that? I personally don't like how most high school shows are set in high school because I think that most of them would make more sense if they were set in college, just because they glamorize this risky behavior in a way that makes people think that they should do it too. And I'm not saying that no one acts like this, but at the same time, these shows make it seem like every single person is doing this and that you might be weird if you're not doing these things too. And it also sets extremely unrealistic expectations for young people's relationships and for the behaviors that they should be exhibiting. I even relate to this because when I was 17, I was texting some random boy or something, because this was during COVID, and I had told him that I'd never kissed a boy before. And he made it seem as though there must be something wrong with me, because why haven't I done that when I'm already 17? And when it comes to things like this, you just need to remember that you're not weird. It's actually normal, and there are a lot of people like that, but the thing is, most of the people that are like that aren't really gonna speak out about it or scream from the rooftops. But everyone grows at a different pace, and you shouldn't feel weird just because you're not doing the same things that everyone else is doing. Like, in that moment, I knew that I wasn't weird, but I just thought it was crazy that someone would actually say that to me and really wonder, like, if there's something wrong with me as to why I've never done those things before. Shows like Euphoria make people think that it's very normal for teens to abuse drugs and alcohol. And especially with alcohol, it is very normalized to be an alcoholic, especially when you're in college. Because it's normal to go out every night and drink every single day and get drunk every single day. But then you really need to take some time to assess, am I just having fun or am I an alcoholic? Because I think a lot of people really don't think about that, and it's totally fine if you're doing these things in moderation. But especially when it comes to alcohol, most people don't think about the fact that they might be slowly becoming an alcoholic. And it is also harmful that these shows are set in high school just because it shows these kids doing extremely risky things, especially when it comes to doing drugs and other things like that, where most people aren't doing that. And the ones that are know that it's harmful for their lives, but at the same time, they still haven't grown up enough to really think about the effects. It's best to just remember that these shows aren't real and that this is not what real life is like. Some people may live a life like that, but at the same time, that doesn't mean that it's good and that doesn't mean that it's okay. So just try not to let these things get to you and change your way of thinking. Hookup culture can also be harmful to you because you're bonded with the people that you are intimate with. And this is not in the way of like soul ties or in a spiritual way, but this is through the release of hormones such as oxytocin that make you feel attached to someone. And when you're going through so many partners, then you keep getting attached to them, and it's harder to attach to someone that you actually want to settle down with. And this isn't like a fear-mongering tactic, but this is just something that's important to know, because so many people go into hookup culture just because everyone else is doing it or because they feel like they need to do it, but they don't actually know any of the implications behind it. And this is not some kind of purity culture propaganda, but I'm just trying to educate on the effects of these choices. Because even if you choose to participate in hookup culture, even if you choose to sexualize yourself at a young age, I'm not saying that that's horrible, but I am just trying to say that there are some downsides. And there are also downsides to purity culture in the way that it can be performative and shameful, just because it places such a heavy emphasis on virginity, and if you do decide to give it up, then you would be put in a very shameful light. And I don't stand with that way of reasoning either, but you do need to find some sort of middle ground and make sure that you're not being swayed by anyone, just because these things are so prevalent in our society where it's either you're on this end of purity culture or you're on this end of hookup culture. And I've noticed that people land in between after they've dealt with both of the extremes and realize that it's not for them. So this is when you really need to take some time to think about yourself and what you want and how these things will affect your life. And you also need to realize that everyone grows at a different rate. Just because someone's doing one thing, or even if a lot of people are doing another thing, that doesn't mean that you're weird or that you're doing something wrong. Just means you might be a little bit different, but at the same time, different is not bad, because you're your own person and you have your own path. You can't just follow what everyone else is doing and expect it to be right for you. Social media is a large part of everyone's lives, and it's not going to go away anytime soon. So here are some tips on how to assess if you're being swayed by the rhetoric on social media. My first tip is to ask yourself, why do I want to do this? And this is good to ask yourself when you want to do something that you've seen on social media or on other forms of media. So you just need to ask yourself, why do I want to do this? Do I want to do this because I've seen someone else do it? Because everyone else is doing it? My next tip is to ask yourself, how will this affect your life? Once you've done the first thing and ask yourself, why do you want to do this? Once you've figured out if you want to do it for yourself or you just want to do it because you feel like it, you need to figure out how this will affect your life. Will it impact you negatively? Will it make your life better? And so on. My last tip is to realize that it's okay to be different. Because a lot of people make choices just because they're scared to be different or because they want to go along with the crowd. And this just doesn't make sense. Just because, like I said, you're different from everyone else. Your life is your life. So you can't just follow everyone else and expect to get the same results. So ultimately, if you think you're a late bloomer, you're not. Just know that you are growing at your own pace, and that's okay. So if you like this video, please leave a like and comment down below your thoughts. Thanks for watching. Bye.